All right, guys, welcome to the Git Bit Podcast, the podcast for nerds, blurs, and for everybody with a fandom who is not toxic. Yes, we're going to talk about that subject today, too. Who is not toxic today. Definitely welcome. I'm your host, most Will Buchanan. Of course, with me tonight is Joe. Joe, how you doing, man?
I'm still here. I will continue to be here.
I still, what was that? What was the thing you called yourself? What was it? Intern
The high
something?
pitched hero.
High pitch hero. Anyway, guys, before we do get started, this is a family-friendly podcast, although we do question that sometimes our language will slip. No trailers today because it's because at this point, YouTube can't decide whether or not to either flag us for showing something that's public that's already on YouTube. I know it makes no sense, but that's the rules we got to play by. Aside from that, welcome. Usually we do start forward with some things. I did want to start with this, however. I talked about this with Snyder fans, and I was going to point this out because Joe actually posted this first before I did on Facebook. I actually kind of shared what he had, where they were talking about the actor who plays John Walker on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And it's a trend that I'm seeing that's a little creepy, and it's unfortunately becoming all too familiar. It's toxic fans. It's like you have fans who hate a character so much that they'll go after the actor or actress and death threats. I mean, for a lot of these actors and actresses, they got a dream job. If you got to even John Walker, even though John Walker in the comics is a little bit of a douche, he is, but you as an actor, I'm being nice. I'm being nice. I'm being nice. But I'm just saying, if you had the chance to play a Marvel character, I mean, that's a dream gig. So of course, it's just like Star Wars. I mean, hate on you on, either you liked it or you did not like the Rey series. There were a lot of people that were hating on that one actress for simply being in the movie. I mean, they boarded, harassed her on social media, death threats to the point to where she just closed off her social media altogether. And the same thing, I forgot the actor's name who plays John Walker. I should have actually remembered it. But they're going after him, and in such a way where I'm like, that we look for all those out there who believe, well, John Walker is like, well, he's not Captain America. Well, if you read a comic or if you asked somebody who's knowledgeable, they all would have said, yeah, he's not. He's an integral part of the story, yes, but you're exactly right. He's not Captain America. But at the same time, do you need to, I don't know, decide to throw a fit over it? I mean, Joe, we talked about toxic characters all the time, toxic fans all the time, but it's almost to the point now. It's almost to where we're not going to have movies or shows at this point. It just keeps up.
So, part of this is actually kind of Falcon and Winter Soldier's part for calling him Captain America, rather than just saying he's U.S. agent. That would have helped the disassociation. I am not taking up for these people at all, mind you. I am merely saying the fault of saying this man is Captain America rather than just saying, here's your new super soldier, U.S. agent,
Right.
would have probably helped with this a little bit by disassociation from Captain America. Now, we also need to keep in mind who this man's father is.
True.
So I honestly think that he is not bothered. This kid, I think I'm older than him, so I get to say that. More than likely, I'm older than him. This guy is Kurt Russell's son.
Yeah.
So he's probably dealt with stuff like this already via his dad, doing various roles and getting flack for them. So I'm sure his dad has told him point blank,
this comes with the territory.
this is going to happen. You are stepping in behind Chris Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what to expect. I've been in this business forever. I was the computer that wore tennis shoes, for God's sakes. Now, we discussed this with the Snyder fandom.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, I do not like this new second wave. They're as bad as when the initial Snyder fandom started.
Right.
Towards the end, the Snyder fandom actually became a force for good for suicide awareness.
You think they would?
That was
That's a perfect.
that,
That is
no,
a
that was towards the end. That was
towards
towards
the
the end.
end. Okay.
This new wave, I've already seen peter off because now that glow and sheen of the 4 hour movie, I'm starting to see people goes like, it should have been 3 hours. There was no reason for it.
Oh,
But I get out.
I call it the post hangover. Once
Yeah.
once that little euphoria moment has passed, now it's like, okay, now I have to look at the reality. But yeah,
I went off on a small tangent.
no,
Like,
no.
there's no reason we need to be doing this for fans. We've already alienated so many actors
Mm-hmm.
just because so many people are butthurt. And I had someone on my Facebook page who's was I know we won't name names because I don't want crap happening with him
Fair.
or her. Saying, well, this is a minority. It's like, he is right in that it is a minority, but it is the most vocal and vitriol minority of any fandom.
Of course.
If you're a fan, you're probably, if you're like, I'm not going to say a true fan. There's no such thing as a true fan. But if you're a fan, more than likely you're going to just be silent, enjoy it, go get the supplement material, go do cosplay. If you're one of those diehard fans, which just dives into zealotism,
That's a whole different thing,
over
right?
the smallest things, you are not a fan. You are a problem.
Yeah, that I completely agree. Like the whole idea of superhero movies is to basically bring a movie. Let's be honest. How many people actually knew about, like, say for instance, The Hobbit, except for when you read it in school? Now, if you read it in school, you got introduced to a lot more of the story than the 3 movies showed. But for a lot of that crowd out there, they didn't know how good the story was until they saw the movie, which made them go read the book, which they said, hey, there's a lot in the book that the movies didn't cover, but you made them fans. That's the beauty of superhero movies, is to basically say, hey, the movie was great, but look at the stories we told in the comics. You're gonna love those. So you're right. It should encourage people to go from the movies, go look at the comics, or even try to cosplay. Nothing wrong with that. But it was just the thing I was thinking about when I saw that post you did. I said it's amazing the lack of mental, and it's a mental issue. It's like you get so involved with something that it's detrimental to where you kind of don't take reality serious. You don't take reality seriously anymore. So, like, in the same sense of John Walker, it's like, well, I know what they're doing with the story. The whole story, John Walker's whole story of meeting Captain America, works for the Disney show. Absolutely. Because it just leads to the fact that eventually Sam is going to take up the mantle of Captain America. We know that. We're just actually seeing the journey of it. Nothing wrong with that. But there are just some people, like I said before, these toxic fans. It's not just Star Wars. It's not just DC. You even have some Marvel ones out there. There's even some Matrix fans out there too. There's toxic fans everywhere. But I just want to say this on behalf of the Git Bit Podcast. There's no need to be toxic. If you don't like it, then just don't like it. Don't watch it. You guys heard me say it all the time. I sit there and said about the Snyderverse. I said this movie. I said I'm going to watch it just to give it a fair level of shake. I even sat there with Joe, and said there were some parts of the movie I actually enjoyed. But at the same time, you don't see me going after Snyder saying that he should never direct anything again. He's actually directed some other great movies. He directed 300, which was great. I love 300. So again, there's a whole point of there's a big difference between liking something and then being so toxic about it that you ruin it for people. Because I said it best, and I still think this is a theory. I think that Kylo Ren in the Rey series of Star Wars, I think Kylo Ren was the equivalent of every toxic Disney Star Wars fan. never satisfied, full of rage, wanted to destroy everything. I thought that was brilliant when I saw that, because I was like, you just described every toxic fan out there. But anyway, long story short, guys, stop toxicity. It doesn't need to happen. But
or just learn to disassociate the two. Like, I like Cara Dune.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of Gina Carano.
Big difference. Oh, exactly.
I am pretty sure I'll like. Is it Mark Russell? Mark Russell.
Are you talking about the guy who played the Master in Doctor Who, or somebody else?
No, the guy that plays U.S. Agent.
Oh, I never looked up the actor's name. I think you might be right, though. I'm going to lean on you for that.
Wyatt Russell. Wyatt Russell.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure I'm going to love Wyatt Russell and other things. I don't like him because I know who he is and I know what road he's going to go down on.
Yeah, but I love him for his portrayal of John Walker so far. Which, again,
oh yeah, no.
I mean, his portrayal of John Walker is awesome in my opinion. But then again, you and me, but it's funny though, it's funny how some people already hate him for that. But you and me, we both read his saga. We read his saga.
We hate him for wholly different reasons.
Yeah. So it's like me and you and others who have read the comics know it's like, oh, we just like him for reasons they haven't got to yet. But from an actor standpoint, I treat actors the same way I treat professional wrestling. That it is an art form. It is a story that you're telling. And if you can draw people in, or if you can make them like you, love you, or hate you, that's acting. And so his whole portrayal of John Walker so far, I was sold. I was sold by the second episode. I was sold the moment he introduced himself. I was like, that some guys have roles they are born to play, and I loved him for that. In the same sense where it's interesting, like I said, with you see Bucky's character, and we might as well go ahead and talk about it because we're pretty much there anyway. With the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 3, which was the Power Broker. So again, all our shows are spoiler filled. So if you have not seen the Falcon and the Winter Soldier's most recent episode, this is the only warning you're going to get. Because by now, I know a lot of people who are, Friday night, either getting off work or heading to work. I know a good majority of us, or we stayed up till 3 a.m. Friday morning to watch it, have all watched it by now. So again, where it stands right now at the Power Broker, of course, we knew from last episode that they were going to go see Baron Zemo, who is currently in prison, in which Bucky. Which I love the banter in this one between Bucky and Sam, because you see Bucky pull Sam to the side and say, "So, hypothetically," he's explaining the whole prison breakout, and you just see Sam like, "You are saying this way too comfortable, like this has already happened," and then you just see Baron Zemo come out of nowhere. He's like, "You're late." He goes, "Hey, I'm here, ain't I?" And of course, Sam's freaking out, talking about you're going back to prison. He says, "You did not just break Baron Zemo out." I didn't. He did. I mean, if there's one thing about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I am loving, it is just the banter between Bucky and Sam. Just because they're on one page at one moment, and it's like Bucky just goes, "Hey, just want to run something by you." You already know it's gonna be good and terrible, but you're along for the ride. And I had to give Baron Zemo. I gotta remember that actor's name to save my life. The guy who does play Baron Zemo in the show, he had too much of a ball with this episode.
Daniel Brühl.
There we go.
Brühl.
Yeah, Brühl. BR. Yeah, that's him. So he had way too much fun. I'm gonna ask you this, Joe. Was it me, or was he playing slight therapist to Bucky and Sam during the episode?
So, the interesting thing is I really like this episode. Mm-hmm. I did notice something very special, which we will get into in a little bit, because this is one of those Joe finds that most people aren't going to understand.
Okay.
I would actually say this episode is more of him being Citizen V rather than Baron Zemo. For those of you that don't know, Citizen V is Zemo's hero persona when he was masquerading as a hero in the Thunderbolts, where he's doing good work for his furtherment.
Mm-hmm.
So this episode is Citizen V Zemo.
Yeah.
Where we also learn to establish, this episode also establishes that he is rich.
Yeah.
He is, in fact, actually a baron. That mask in that old German roadster is more than likely the original helmet Zemo that Cap more than likely fought in World War II.
Yeah.
We're just not talking about that.
Which is interesting about that. It's the funny part. You have a butler? He's like, yeah, I got money. It was just so nonchalant. You have a butler and a plane? Wait, not you.
It's like, I'm rich. I am royalty. My family was ruling class in Sokovia before it crashed.
Right.
You just look at Sam, it's like, I'm a baron.
He just said it so that's why I said I loved it. I mean, Zemo did make this episode for me just because he didn't. I mean, yeah, he wasn't post Civil War Zemo. You know, when he's sitting there and he's messing with Bucky the whole time, just reciting the words from the Red Book, and Bucky's sitting there looking at him like that doesn't work anymore. I can't blame the guy for trying. I was like, it's just like, really?
No, he has no problem doing that. I really just loved it. Where Sam gets in the backseat, he's like, "You're not going to move your seat apart, are you?" No. It's like, that is just one of the most vindictive no's I've heard ever.
We've come full circle. It's like, we have come full circle. He's like, you remember Germany, right? Right. Okay, fair point. I had this coming.
So, Joe's big finds. You know how everyone was looking for X-Men stuff in WandaVision?
Yeah.
That X-Men stuff where in this episode.
But the power broke where they were in the
You're in Madripoor, which was
yeah.
introduced in the mutants.
Yeah.
You know that bar that they flashed really quick, Princess's Bar?
Vaguely remember something referring.
It's one of the places they showed in Lowtown, as they were showing locales, but they focused on the Princess's Bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a small, angry Canadian that likes to go there named Patch.
I didn't think about that till just now. I didn't think about that.
I'm pretty sure now this is stretching it a little bit.
Okay.
There was an X on that mansion that got blown up in Madripoor by the Flag Smashers.
Yeah, it was an X.
Pretty sure that's X Mansion.
Wouldn't be surprised. But then again, that was the...
Although I do think that was also Latvia, which I also think is an X-Men thing.
Well, yeah. There was an X on that building, though. That is right. But I was actually the other thing about that was how they included Agent Carter, which was, of course, Sharon Carter. And now that... It was weird, though, that she's still a fugitive, if you thought about it. I was like, okay, she's still a fugitive. She's here. And I'm like, wait, so are they setting up for her own as far as bringing her back into the show? Because I would think with Bucky being pardoned, you thought Agent Carter would be pardoned, but she's still a fugitive, which I thought was interesting. And she's also a little bit of a gun for hire kind of situation. Especially that fight scene outside in the freight yard.
I was honestly expecting her to hold off like the whole platoon and Bucky and Sam just come out and there's like just a slew of guys and Sharon just sitting there like, you took too long.
That I was expecting. I mean, the way it was going, you almost had like a Black Widow feel to it. I mean, not to take anything away from, the Black Widow movie that eventually will be seen, but we kind of got that the way she was fighting those guys. It's like, you're going to come out and she's going to be like, you took your sweet time, didn't you? It's like, dang, when did you get this? I was like, when did you have this little killer instinct thing going? But I did like the fact that the power broker and the simple fact of, them trying to say, oh, well, this one guy refined the superhero serum, and that Carly from the Flag Smashers actually has it. And that was another thing, too. They keep humanizing the Flag Smashers to the point to where it's like they are not the true enemy. It's like...
Can I just tell you, I don't care about them in the least.
You lost interest in them?
I think they're there for padding. Like, they show this girl, they show her, like, grieving over somebody that we get, like, maybe 2 sentences on.
True.
And I'm like, what, your end game better be great. The power broker better be Zemo, or Zemo better have been orchestrating the entire Flag Smasher thing just from the get-go.
I'm gonna be honest. I think
Something, because quite frankly, they are pointless at this point.
I think they I'll admit they have gotten a little bit lost. Honestly, I think Sharon is power broker. Just because of how she was acting throughout the whole thing, it's almost like the power broker that they actually met in the club wasn't really the power broker, it was an in-between. That's I mean, you don't really, I mean, when you saw that one character, it's like, you don't give off, you know, the person running the show. You're just the intermediary. And so as you get to the end of the, as you get to the end where you see, you know, Sharon gets in the car and says we have a problem, it's like, I wonder if she was the power broker the entire doggone time. Which would kind of make sense. But also telling Sam, you know, you better have my pardon ready. It's almost like it's almost like she's a shadow broker, or she's the right-hand man of the shadow broker. I'm sorry, the power broker. I keep on, my mind goes to Mass Effect sometimes when I hear broker. I don't even go to shadow broker. But I was thinking that, you know, Sharon Carter could be the power broker, or she could be the right-hand man of the power broker. But either way, I love the episode as far as that, and especially at the very end where you just see Bucky just drop off and says, "Why are you following us?" And you see, I was about to sit there and say, "Oh, that's Okoye." I was like, "No, that's not Okoye. That's still one of the Dora Milaje, and she's not happy." It's like, we have come for Zemo. I said, "Oh crap!" And it does set up for the next episode. It does set up for the next episode where you're like, okay, so we know now either the entire Dora Milaje is there, or if Okoye is there, let's be honest, Zemo's dead. I don't see Bucky and Sam fighting off the Wakanda King's personal guard. That's just me. But either way, it just sets up. I mean, overall, it's a great episode, but it definitely does set up for what happens next. And I gotta be honest, I was a little concerned. Like you said, the only drawback was, like you said, the Flag Smashers just kind of took a back seat this episode. So yeah, it does lead to either that we're gonna either see Baron Zemo take a greater lead out of this, or my Carter theory is gonna be right. One of the two. But yeah, I couldn't complain about that episode.
No, I can't complain about either. The X-Men nods were there. People can start speculating all they want finally.
Yeah, I mean, well, we already know. It's like we keep expecting an X-Men reference or a Fantastic Four reference. I mean, really, the greatest shot that we had was in WandaVision at this point. Unless they decide to go another route. I mean, we do have, well, until the world reopens back up, which could still be a while, and Marvel movies are still going to be far off. So the only way you're going to be really, and of course they're saying, I mean, not to go on another change about Black Widow, but let's be honest, how many more times can you push this movie back before people just say, just put on Disney Plus for the rest of the stuff? But, you know, you charge premium access, some people will buy it. I just don't think they want to go that route with this type of movie, but eventually, like I said, without the world not being back to some placency of normal, this is going to have to be the standard. That either we're going to have to see, the emergence of X-Men and Fantastic Four, or any type of implementation will have to be done within Disney Plus, I would think. But it's one of those things that to look and see into. But another thing, I know I gotta talk about this because we gotta get this out the way too, just because I want to keep this going before I have to talk about Batwoman, because I have to get this out. I have to get this out about Godzilla versus Kong. Again, this is spoilers. I don't know why this is spoilers. If you've seen Godzilla versus Kong in the previous movies, number one, you wouldn't be disappointed, and this was not a disappointment either. Which did come out on HBO Max. I think it's hitting theaters tonight, because I have some friends going to movie theaters to go watch it in IMAX, so good for them. But overall, about Godzilla versus Kong, Joe, I'll let you go first with that as far as what you thought of it.
I really, really enjoyed it. Ultimately, though, I thought Millie Bobby Brown's parts in it were ultimately pointless.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, and this is not to say she did a bad job. I think all the guys that were part of that human B plot did a great job. But ultimately, Millie Bobby Brown her story's done with the Ghidorah stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why she was there. I don't even know why any of the Monarch stuff involving the cast from last movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be in that movie. You basically took up more time for monsters going smash.
I agree. I mean,
No, go
ahead.
Other than that, I really enjoyed the film. The only thing I was kind of hoping, because we see that Ghidorah could regenerate at such an accelerated rate, is during the Mechagodzilla fight, it would slowly be transforming into Mechaghidorah.
Yeah.
And that's just me. That's just the old Godzilla fan in me, because we did have Mechaghidorah at one point. So, I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. The action was good. The human A plot was fine. I had no issues with that whatsoever. I really enjoyed that one. The villains in this one are just as bad as the old 70s movie villains, where they could have just been superhumans from the middle of the hollow earth. Too bad the hot girl had to die so stupidly, but she had it coming.
She really did have it coming.
The father was just a straight up, like I said, 70s Godzilla villain, which I am more than okay with.
I did not complain about his portrayal of just the quote unquote, like, look, I am doing this to save the human race and to make some money. I was like, at least he's honest.
The only thing I kind of feel bad for is Shun Oguri. He kind of had a throwaway part, and he's supposed to be canonically in the film Ken Watanabe's son. So I thought they were going to do more with him, and then he just dies.
That was weird. I mean, that was but it's like you said. But it's like you said, though. There were some parts in it that were filler. I mean, yeah, Millie's part, I was like, okay, so you're basically just Scooby-Dooing your way to excuse me, you're just gonna Scooby-Doo your way to the Mechagodzilla, and that's it. And then you take the most paranoid. I was like, I can't remember that guy's name. Saved my life. No, the black guy. I can't think of No,
that was his name in the movie, Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie. And you take him, who's literally vlogging his way with the oldest Boost mobile phone I can think of. And it's just, it's funny where he's like, he believes what he says until he finally sees it. He's like, I was right. I was like, did he just have a self-realization moment? And I did like the fact about, it's how they did Mechagodzilla was interesting, where he sat there. It's kind of funny when the guy says, well, there's an issue with the AI. If the AI gets too much power, it can be sentient. And the bad guy just brushes it off like, we got that. You got that under control, right? And you literally see it happen when they get the power source, and it's like you see the disconnect, and you just see Godzilla turn around, and you just watch everybody just start backing up as the bad guy is going into his monologue. You just see Mechagodzilla come forward. He's like, why is everybody backing? Turns around too late. It was still fun to watch.
It was.
But I have to give Kong credit. They brilliantly explained how he grew in size. I will give them that. And then this could have just been me. When I saw him get the axe from Hollow Earth and start using it, why did I have God of War vibes?
No, he's too young. That giant scream off when Godzilla was screaming in his face was just Godzilla saying, "Stay down, kid."
Yeah. That whole fight where I guess we call it round 3. But that entire fight where he's like, Godzilla is like forcibly trying to blow him off, and you see him use the axe as a shield, and Godzilla's surprised. He's like, that look of some.
My favorite part from that fight was Godzilla mugging at the camera and giving a chuckle.
Yeah. Because he said, I mean, it was a great fight, Actually, all 3 rounds were great fights.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just, I mean, who taught Godzilla how to box? I saw a Bob and a right. I was like,
man's king for a reason.
I was thinking to myself the whole time. I said, who showed him Hippo no Game? I'm just saying, he Dempsey rolled. Someone sat there and said, who taught Kong how to Dempsey roll?
One man I know that would put something like that.
Oh man, I was laughing when I saw it. I sit there and saw it on somebody's comment. Who taught Kong how to Dempsey? Who taught Kong how to Dempsey roll? And I mean, the whole fight sequence, especially the part I love was especially Hollow Earth. The Hollow Earth to show as far as showing how they got there. It wasn't cheesy. It wasn't overdone. It just added to the story, which I loved. At the same time, there was, I mean, we all knew it was gonna. I mean, when you saw Mechagodzilla pop up and you saw the girl trying to explain to Kong, Godzilla is friendly. The other one is not, and you just see Kong look at her like, really? I mean, the man just put his foot on my chest not too long ago, and he's friends with me. And I was like, you just see Kong for like one split second have that. He's like, really, girl? That's why I'm supposed to be helping right now? I mean, he getting his butt kicked by him, and I'm supposed to go help him? And it's funny where, at the end of it all, you just see them have that stare off again. I said, oh, round 4. And you just see Kong just drop the axe, and Godzilla just kind of dropped his shoulders like, whoo, I wasn't ready for that. He said, one kaiju's big enough, but nah, not you again. But I love the movie overall.
Oh, yeah, no, I loved it. It was great.
But yeah, like you said, there were just some parts. We just didn't
need the human B plot. That's all we didn't need. We didn't need the human B plot. Human A plot was fine because that mostly dealt directly with Kong.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is you look at all these websites and they're giving it poor reviews, saying it's like you don't understand why you're here. Then, if you don't understand, you were here to see what Hulk said. In Thor Ragnarok, giant monster, big monster, then you're here for the wrong reason. None of us go to a Godzilla movie and expect Academy Award-winning acting or the most integral, deep plot.
No, we're here for the fight.
Gonna make you think. We're not here to see Inception. We are here to see giant monkey punch big lizard.
I mean, just like Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim was pretty much kaiju monsters, robot fights. That's it. That's all Peter Jackson needed to tell us.
Because do you know what happens when you put too much emphasis on the humans?
It gets lost.
No, you get 1998 Godzilla. Or you get 2014 Godzilla, where Godzilla was...
I had to think about
where they really try to play up the human actors, and then they learned their lesson.
Oh, you talking about the Matthew Broderick version, was that 1990?
I'm talking about the Matthew Broderick and the movie that started this whole 4-part thing off.
Okay. I had to think about that for a second. You're not wrong though. You're not wrong, but I like.
Now, to be fair, the Matthew Broderick series did spawn a fantastic animated series.
True, but that fish sound like fish and humans. Something that advanced can't tell the difference between fish and a human.
He's a worm guy. What do you expect?
I mean, there's points, but I'm like, come on, man, you have radioactive breath for a reason. But but you're right though, and it's also another thing I did want to point out too was that they started review bombing this, saying this is horrible, this is bad, and then at the end of it all, released the Snyderverse. I was like, why are y'all? I mean, I expect critics who make a job out of saying everything is terrible. I expect this out of critics. I don't expect this out of fans who just are supposedly us, who want to just see a good movie. And like you said before, it's a Godzilla Kong movie. It's not good. If you're looking for Gone with the Wind dialogue, it is not going to be found here. I mean, we just honestly just came to see a fight. And for those 2 hours 2 hours. It's like an hour and 53-minute runtime. But let's just round off for 2 hours. But that 2 hour runtime, I loved it from beginning to end. I had no issue with it.
No.
But I think some people just want to hate on something just because they think it's cool. That's the only thing I can think of at this point. But anyway, if you also saw Godzilla versus Kong, definitely let us know in the comments what you thought of that as well as on Facebook and on Instagram, because we are broadcasting both ways successfully. Yay, technology. So moving right along, I do gotta get this out the way, just because out of all the great episodes and things we reviewed so far, I must get through the speed bump. And the speed bump tonight is Batwoman, which was the episode 9, which was called Rule Number 1. And, well, they finally did it, y'all. They finally did it. They finally had the funeral for Kate Kane 9 episodes in to the second season. And I have been saying this from Jump Street, that the problem with Batwoman's second season is that we never let Kate Kane go. And now it looks like they have. But on the flip side, because now Roman Sionis has been introduced, also known as Black Mask, has been introduced and sitting there saying that he now has Kate Kane, and she is still breathing. Now, of course, they also want to introduce the alternate Riddler, which the woman's name is Enigma. Which, of course, Edward Enigma, obviously Riddler. They won't call her Riddler, so they might just be an alternate Riddler because of the story. And of course, the only question I have from this is, where is all this going? Because again, I feel like I'm a broken record every week when I sit there and say Batwoman, as far as the showrunner and director and directees of CW and Geoff Johns and Warner Brothers, what are y'all doing with this story? Because I'm like, again, can we just let Kate Kane go? Can we let her, go off into that fair sunset? When can Ryan Wilder finally just focus on being just Batwoman and giving her a big bad and giving her a decent story? When can we finally get to that? Because I feel like this Kate Kane story is just going to drag on for this entire season, and it's going to torpedo this show. Not into a third season at this point. But, Joe, I know you watched it, and I thank you for making it to the end. But what did you think?
I really thought, since we got Black Mask, we would stop with all the extra Kate Kane stuff. Mm-hmm. Even while they're burying Kate Kane, someone still has Kate Kane?
Yeah.
I don't understand. This episode, hopefully Black Mask, they'll push some stuff off. I was kind of wondering if maybe that's supposed to be like a Riddler henchman, because at one point he did actually have 2 female henchmen, Query and Echo, and I'm wondering, well, maybe they just can't use those official names for whatever reason, so she's Enigma, and she's going to be that woman's Riddler?
I guess so.
I'm wondering if they're going to be introducing the Gardener soon into her series, because they just are introducing her in the comic.
Right.
They made a lot of emphasis on that plant in the early episode.
Yeah, the Desert Rose, which, hot, and that part killed me when I'm like, wait a minute. So the cure to the kryptonite poisoning that you had from Jump Street, you literally had the cure the entire doggone time. It just, you all traveled to this mysterious island where Alice decided to burn the fields, and the one plant that saved you was there beside you the entire time. I'm sorry, but sometimes there's just some poor story writing. That's a weak. As I used to say on video games, I used to play Call of Duty. That's some weak sauce. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. Like, I really thought the introduction of Black Mask, because last week Black Mask was good.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he is very much like the comic book, where you don't get to fail him twice.
Right. He doesn't give you a second chance. You're right. But I'll be honest with you. I keep hoping out for hope. It's like I need to see Batwoman I need to see this show really turn a page somewhere. But I'm afraid that, as they keep going forward with this, it's not going to it's not going to be given its chance to shine if we cannot get past the Kate Kane story.
And I think the Alice subplot now is she's slowly becoming sane.
Yeah, she has to be sane again. This is weak sauce that she has to be sane to basically be free of Kate Kane, because everything she does, she turns into her trauma. And I'm just like, wait, this doesn't make what? I'm like, where are y'all trying? I mean, again, I'm a guy that loves. Don't get me wrong. I am a guy that loves deep narrative and dialogue and twists and turns as much as the next guy. But this is not a twist and turn story. This is like, I feel like in the writing room, someone just threw an idea and everybody was just too tired to argue. It's I think that's what it really was. Someone in the writing room sat there and said, "Hey, here's what we can do for Alice." Dude, I don't care. Let's just go home. Type it up, send it off. We all agree with it. But yeah, it's just with Batwoman. I like I said, I know I still follow it for prosperity and just to go ahead and report on this every week. But it's one of those times where it's just like Black Lightning wasn't on. I was like, I'm kind of glad it wasn't, because I felt like I would be watching the same thing over and over again, and I would be getting nothing out of it. And I keep saying the entire time, and I know if in the event that any Warner Brothers corporate or DC people look at this, come on, y'all have material. You have material to work with. It's almost like Supergirl. I even tried to watch Supergirl this week. I failed miserably because I didn't get past 10 minutes. But again, it's those things to where you have the ability to make these shows great. Now, of course, I always say the source material is always the comics, but again, great storytelling can be done too. Just like in The Flash, because the Flash episode this week was, again, I was relieved to say it was a good episode. I liked it. You didn't like it?
Speed Mom Needs to Meet was the silliest thing I've ever seen.
I've come to terms with that.
I love the fact that they keep giving those two particular actors work, especially John Wesley Shipp.
Uh-huh.
But we need to move away from Barry's parents and on to other things.
But that is actually CW's showrunner's albatross, because he's basically anchored Barry to his parents so much that now the one thing that actually made seasons 1 through 3 great, now he can't get away from in season 7 with the Speed Force. And by the way, we are moving into the Flash episode, and it's spoiler filled, so I just had to go ahead and tell that part. Of course, with this Flash episode 5, Fear Me was the title, and like Joe said, Speed Mom, because anybody that's been watching the Flash knows that the Speed Force takes the form of Barry's mom, I guess, to be better allocated to him. And she shows up in Star Labs weak as all get out, because unbeknownst to the rest of the group, she's been fighting the Paragons, Conduits, call them what you will. But like me and Joe talked about, you would actually see the conduits of the other forces, the Strength Force, the Sage Force,
Still Force.
Thank you. I was about to say I was forgetting one more. But you would actually see their Paragons, and come to find out, we actually got to saw not only Psyche, we got to see Fureza, which again, I did not think they were going to use that one, because I thought that was Rampage.
So it's not Rampage, it's someone different?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'll give them this. I will give them this, because if this Fureza was Earth Prime, and I had to go back and double check this one, because I was like, Fureza was a part of the Strength Force, so that would make sense as far as, them showing her, and of course Cisco giving her that name. I was like, oh, okay, because you're not Mongal, you're not Rampage.
She looks like Rampage.
I understand. I completely understand, because I thought you'd be Rampage, but I guess they're not going that route. So it's funny that we see the Sage Force and the Strength Force both get pulled into this episode, especially with Psyche. Psych was an interesting character.
Psych was weird because he had a great costume, but he has Scarecrow's powers.
Yeah. It was weird as far as just him with the Sage Force, including, which increases his mental and telepathy thinking as far as being able to project things onto people. But I like the fact that they try to take the fear route. But you're right, it was a little too close to Scarecrow that the only thing he did was induce fear. He's like, I like the fact that I caused chaos. And the thing about that was though, but aside from that, it was also the story of Killer Frost and that I can't even say it without laughing, because this is the first time you saw Killer Frost did not want to be joined, and she destroyed the Matrix. And of course, it does set up a storyline there. As far as Killer Frost, now because she's her own person, and now that we know that the new person that's with the Central City Police Force has got a bone to pick with her, it does set up a story for her, which I do dig. And they quietly packaged off Ralph as being overseas, so at least they didn't kill his character, but let's be honest, they sunset him, so they can sit there and say that he's still somewhere out in the world. But the end of this episode though, it does wrap up nicely as far as setting up the Force Quest storyline. That you do say, and you did call it that was going to probably wind up going that way. When Barry's mom saying, I'm still weak and so is he. So Barry's on 100% because he got shook the moment he threw that lightning at Psyche, and Psyche just absorbed it. That threw him all the way off. But what did you think of the episode, Joe, for the Flash?
Like I said, mentally I kind of checked out when Speed Mom came in. I thought Psyche's costume was really cool, but the moment he started using Scarecrow stuff,
everything short of the fear toxin.
It's like one of those, they got me, then they lose me, then they got me,
right?
Then they lose me. The whole Kristen Kramer thing, I'm trying to remember if she is also another incarnation of Killer Frost.
I want to say yes, but I haven't double checked that. I would like to say yes.
Kristen Kramer is from the New 52 run.
Wasn't she related to? I gotta look that back up. There's somebody she's allocated to. I just can't think.
She's in the Flash. She's an intern in Central City Police.
Right.
She's from the 2010 Jeff Johns Francis Manipool run.
Okay. I kept thinking there was a story she was associated with. I just can't think of the name of it right now. But as far as that though, I mean, like I said, this is what I say about Flash. Where again, great storytelling, albeit there may be some parts. Some parts were a little weak, but overall it was a good episode. And of course, we did not get a Superman Lois episode this week. I was kind of disappointed in that. It's bad that I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was looking forward to it. I didn't got so used to looking forward to certain shows. Like Superman Lois has yet to have, in my opinion, Superman Lois has yet to have a bad episode. They've had great episodes. They've had some good episodes. They never had a bad one, if it makes sense. But I'm definitely looking forward to that.
So, do we want to touch on who's coming to the Flash real quick and our thoughts on that?
Yeah, what you got?
With the odd casting of Impulse / Bart Allen?
Yeah.
So how do we feel about that? Because honestly, I don't mind the casting because I know what they're going for. What I'm agitated with is that it's their son.
Well, they've already did the child route before, so I'm not surprised by that.
And that's okay because I know where Nora Allen comes from because she comes from the Brian Hitch run,
right? Where
Barry gets together with Jessica Cruz, but Brian Hitch was doing his own thing with Justice League outside of continuity altogether. Right. We generally ignore that, but it's got Jessica Cruz in it, so I got the whole run. But Bart is famously
talkative,
known throughout, even only in animated fandom, as Barry's grandson because he's a big part of Young Justice.
Yeah, so It depends on the route they go with it. Like that, I mean, like the whole thing with Nora was just her coming back to save her dad from Zoom. Okay, fine. Understand that. But it depends on what they go with for Bart Allen. I mean, we know that there's a generation of speedsters out there. Not surprised by that at all. But I'll be honest, I'm kind of looking forward to it if it makes sense. It just depends on how the story goes.
The other thing that strikes me weird is when Thrawn meets Nora the first time, he actually does say, "You're Dawn, right?"
Yeah.
Meaning the Tornado Twins exist, and Dawn with an O-N, the male Dawn, which I still can't believe Iris let Barry name his children Dawn and Dawn, but that's beside the point. Bart is male Dawn's son.
Right.
So, if they're naming the Tornado Twins, why is Bart their son and not their grandson? This is the comic book guy in me, guys. I am not bashing on anything.
But at the same time,
it just annoys me.
But at the same time, you're right. You know, it's got to make sense of the story. You're exactly right. So I mean, like I said, it's gonna be interesting to see how they do it. I'm just not sure how it's gonna stack up, unless they decide to go a different route and rewrite it. You know, if they don't make him his grandson, what is he? His long lost relative? Is somebody he's related to in the Speed Force? Somebody that tried to run.
They've already literally said that he is the younger son of Barry and Iris. So he is Nora's little brother.
Oh wow! So it's gonna be a time. See, I'm okay. You know what? Wait it out. Wait it out and see what happens. I'm something I'm gonna do. Wait it out and see what happens before I speculate.
I have nothing against this. It just irks me because, like I said, all of the DC community that we've grown up with and the new kids already know him as the grandson.
Right. That's why I'm just like, okay. Maybe they haven't figured it out. Maybe I will go on faith. Maybe they figured it out. Maybe the story's out there and they're just keeping it for wraps down. Because that's all I got that's all I got for that. Because my mind goes somewhere else on that one. But before we get to Invincible, Joe, I know you have some comic book news you want to share.
Oh yeah, so we got a few good ones. Silk makes her comic book return. She is written by Maureen Go, Korean author who has authored quite a few books. Okay. This time around, Cindy is working for J. Jonah Jameson's new newspaper, Threats and Menaces. I love that he has that. Jonah does actually like Silk quite a bit.
How long does that last?
He also does know who she is.
Oh.
He's known for a while. So that's why he actually does like her. She was very upfront at some point.
Okay.
When he just asked her, it's like, so are you Silk? She's just like, yes.
Wow, just straight to the point.
So, she's got a new book out. I hope this one lasts a good bit. I really, really enjoyed reading it. The ending's super weird. Apparently her arch nemesis is another new player for the New York's Underworld. That's got stiff competition, but she has a Japanese demon cat at her disposal. So,
okay.
Something new. I'll roll with it. The artwork is also Asian influenced. Like, this is an Asian written and art-driven book for one of the most newer Asian heroes out in the Marvel that's more mainstream.
Gotcha.
Artwork is by Takashi Miyazawa. I just really enjoyed this. Next up, we got Ruby and the Justice League. So this is not the Justice League gets sucked into Remnant.
Okay.
These are the Remnant counterparts of the Justice League.
You have my attention. Okay.
Ruby and Yang just happened to meet their new neighbor, Clark Kent. Meanwhile, Weiss is so this is like happening somewhere in the early seasons because Yang still has both of her arms.
Okay.
Weiss is meeting Bruce Wayne, who's also a bat faunus. He's always being wearing a top hat until someone takes it out and he's got bat ears.
Wow.
Blake runs into Wonder Woman, who is on a faunus island being raised on the birds of Paradise Island.
Yeah, that fits. That fits.
And next week we are meeting Jessica Cruz and Barry Allen. Their equivalents.
If they're vegans, I'm going to be laughing.
Well, I do know that Barry has a little turtle backpack.
I'm not going to be disappointed. If they're they're vegans, I'm going to be laughing. But
so, artwork's a little wonky. Story is very straightforward. I was honestly expecting, like, maybe the Justice League have to go... This is part of Infinite Frontier, and the Justice League goes to the Remnant universe.
Okay.
But no, it was not that. These are the actual Justice League counterparts to Remnant.
Okay.
So, I can recommend that. And I have a two-parter recommendation. It's Power Rangers. So it's Power Rangers issue 5. This deals with Zach, Trini, and Jason during their peace treaty thing where they're
the disappearance episode. The episode.
No, this is what they're actually doing. They are a covert operations team in Space of Rangers.
Oh, so this is explaining when they went off that, of course, during the first season.
Peace conference.
Yeah. Okay.
So they are in space. They are the Omega Rangers. We are dealing with this universe's Astronema and Ecliptor, which this is very different from what we originally know them as. So the first recommendation is Era of Darkness, which does deal with Astronema.
Okay.
We see the opening of the book where she is taking out the entire Power Ranger equivalent team of Flashman.
Dang.
And I mean, she is brutally murdering these people.
Huh.
She stabs Pink. I think she slits Red's neck off screen, and only Green gets away, and she's kind of ticked about that.
Because she didn't get to finish the job.
Right. Because she has a big thing against Power Rangers, and we don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
We just know that Power Rangers were the result of her losing her family. We see Ecliptor still being Ecliptor. His character has not changed that much. He is still that noble Dark Knight, but he is also the trainer for the Assassin School for Dark Spectre.
Okay.
So we see other kids being trained by him that are villains from other Power Ranger shows. I will only spoil, we do see Kid Divatox. And we do see why she has to wear that faceplate. It's because she lost a fight against Astronema.
Dang. And Astronema scarred her for life.
No, she did.
That was a straight up scar. That's every time you look at your face, remember this. Like, dang.
Yeah. So this is good because ever since Beyond the Grid, Shattered Grid, we've been in a new universe, and they're really opening up the canon. So this has been really, really cool. So the reason why it's a two-parter is issue 5 directly deals with Astronema catching up with the Omega Rangers, and Ecliptor coming to Trini and Drac and going, it's like, so I need your help. We need to get to Astronema before it's too late. And of course, like, who's Astronema?
And then
Meanwhile, Astronema is getting ready to kill Jason and Zach as they are. Do you remember that episode where Andros is playing poker in a space cowboy thing? Yeah, Zach tries to do that and loses horribly.
Oh.
And then Astronema and Zach wind up in jail, and Astronema nearly assassinates Zach in the jail.
Dang. Dang. Okay, so this is not comics that kids can read. So
no. It's comics kids can read. We are not talking about graphic violence. When I'm saying she's slitting stuff off screen, she's doing with energy daggers.
Got it.
So You also get to see a fair amount of cameos. Turbotron from Lost Galaxy is seen.
Yeah. I'll say Turbotron.
Yeah, the one who does the "You're the best around" train montage.
Yeah.
Whatchamacallit. He's there. They do give a small Saban's Masked Rider a brief cameo by talking about a king of Edenoi that had a great power, but it cost him his life at one point. So, again, I recommend both Power Rangers books. This has been really good. Supposedly they're doing another side story that's going to expand on the Phantom Ranger.
Yeah,
that will tie into something else.
Well, as long as I do another movie like the first one, we'll be all right. Well, not like the first one. The more rebooted one will be fine. But thank you for that, though, Joe. I don't have to add that to my list of, man, I just got my Switch, and I just thought about that. I said, ever since my Switch showed up, and Zelda Breath of the Wild has shown up, and Skyward Sword will be here eventually, Smash will be here eventually, Monster Hunter Rise, when GameStop decides to send it, will be here eventually. I'm not gonna have a life. I'm not gonna have a life. But
you'll be hunting with me.
I'm not gonna. Like I said, I'm not gonna have a life. I'll still be streaming on the Switch because I am itching to play those games right now. But we gotta be adults. Anyway, getting to our last part for the podcast, guys. Invincible, episode 4. Neil Armstrong, Eat Your Heart Out. Interesting because this, I think, was kind of it was really a pushed episode for it to be the 4th episode because so many things kind of started getting through the wayside. You know, Debbie was starting to suspect that her husband was really not the same guy he used to be. You had Damien Darkblood finally call out Omni-Man and say, dude, you're the person that killed the Guardians. And he did not deny it. Only to turn around and have the council turn around and exorcise him back to hell. I was like, wait a second. You do your job. You literally find out the guy, the most powerful man on the planet, was the same guy that killed the Guardians. You find this out, and now all of a sudden, now you want to banish him? And of course, Invincible has his mission to Mars, which comes to find out it was a whole other plot into itself, in which you can kind of see where the council, most importantly Cecil is looking into the boys so much because you kind of see like a project. It's almost like the same thing like Superman and Lois. It's like you almost want to suspect they're trying to develop a weapon against Omni-Man or develop an alternative against Omni-Man in case he ever goes dark side. And then at the end of it all, Robot, I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and call it off the bat. I think Robot will literally, if he doesn't go dark side, he will go the dark side of logical, because we saw what he did to Rex as far as, picking blood from him and then adding it to what looks like DNA, and then it's like, wait a minute. Are we cloning heroes now? So it's a lot that got pushed out in this episode, but it also sets up to where it makes me think that the storytelling is going to get just a little bit accelerated, just because you see a lot of things that are about to shape up. But what do you think, Joe?
Oh, I enjoyed it. This is very much building a relationship for Mark. He's trying to get used to. He's learning how to. He's attempting to learn how to balance superhero life and social life.
Yeah.
Those of us that have read comics know that is never going to happen. You got to be literally Superman to make that work.
Oh, Adam Eve said it best. You said you're trying to date a normal. That's why you should only date superheroes. It doesn't work with normals.
I also think the reason they got rid of Darkblood is because I think they have to start paying Clancy Brown extra if he does 3 characters.
Probably.
That contract they are bringing back the Mahler brothers, that would be 3 characters.
Yeah, true. I mean, he is doing double duty. But I was like, I saw that set. So really, the main guy who was right from Jump Street, you decided to go ahead and 86 him. I said, that's messed up. But I still see him coming back, though. I still see him somehow clawing his way back out of hell and then coming back to Omni-Man and saying, I was right about you. But yeah, I mean, for the story itself, it was interesting as far as eating a sandwich out in space. That was funny. He was like, really? I packed a sandwich, dude. You're in space. Why are you pulling a sandwich out of a plastic bag on the side of a space shuttle and expecting it still be edible? Like, come on, man. But
you know the vacuum of the space is supposed to keep the bread the freshest?
It was just funny how so fresh it broke into bricks. But no, I liked Invincible for what's going on. Like I said before, I am surprised that Robert Kirkman is still being given this leeway to tell this story, because everybody remembers The Walking Dead, and everybody for us remember The Walking Dead when it was good, not when it's still on and just dragging itself to death.
2?
Say what?
So season 2?
I won't even say season 2. I'll give it a little bit. Once we got past the prison, I think it's when it went downhill. I mean, don't get me wrong. It went downhill past the prison. It got my attention with Negan. I mean, the governor was all right, but Jeffrey D. Morgan playing Negan, I was like, okay, that made me want to watch again.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be honest. That when I saw him play Negan, I was like, okay, this is exactly what the graphic novel should have. It was to a certain extent, because let's be honest, AMC couldn't really go that crazy with that scene, so they kind of had to take it as it is, especially with the whole thing, and especially with the whole thing of who got killed scene, which I still thought was crazy. I'm like, as a comic book person, we know who got. It's just think about it. This is like, even Chris Hardwick sat there and said on Talking Dead, is he gonna meet a certain bat one day? And of course, you see Robert Kirkman go, maybe. We knew. I mean, there was speculation about it for 3 months. They finally showed us, and let's be honest, it was Glenn. We saw it coming. Just like Glenn's been, and if Thomas was here, he'd hate me for this, because Glenn was his guy on the show, and I kept telling him, I was like, if the show stays true to fashion, Glenn's gonna meet his end. Glenn's gonna meet his end at the end of a bat. That's just the way it is. And of course, when he finally saw it, no, I was like, I told you it was gonna happen. I said no different than Noah in an escalator, Noah in a turntable. That was messed up. But no, I mean, as far as Invincible goes, I dig it so far, and like Joe said, he definitely did enjoy it, and hopefully you guys have too. Before we wrap this up, there's not a lot of video games.
We got 2 things.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we got 2 things I got to bring up, because this is kind of breaking news.
Okay.
EA starts the 50th anniversary of Kamen Rider. They have just announced 2 projects.
Okay.
So Funimation in 2022 is getting a Kamen Rider anime series, which is the adaptation of Fudo Pi, which is the manga version of Kamen Rider Double.
Ooh. So that's gonna be a nice one.
Fudo Pi has been brought around with animated shorts and OVAs.
Yeah.
But it will be getting a full animated series that will be streaming on Funimation in 2022.
Nice. Okay.
And the other thing they just announced for live action is they're doing a reinterpretation of Kamen Rider Black.
Is it?
Which is officially titled Kamen Rider Black Sun. So this is either a retelling of Black, or this is a continuation of the Black series following Black RX. I don't know which.
Either way is not bad. Either way is a win.
Oh no, here it is. It says right here. Kamen Rider Black Sun aims at a reboot of the original Kamen Rider Black series to appeal to adult viewers, meaning we are getting a Kamen Rider Black version using Amazons.
Oh, this is a better not bring your kid situation.
No.
This is definitely a better not bring your kid situation.
They did announce the director already. The director is Kaze Shirayashi. Shirashi. Yeah, Shirashi. Okay. He is known for hit Japanese films Kohaku and Blood of the Wolves.
Okay, so yeah, I know Blood of the Wolves, because it was interesting, because the title drew me in, but it wasn't what I thought it was, but I still wanted to watch it when I got into it. So that's cool to know. Dang, now I gotta renew my Funimation account again. But dang it, that's more money down the drain.
See what else we got, because it is the 50th anniversary, so I just don't know what they're going to toss out at us.
Oh, they give it time. But as far as video game news, like I said, guys, not really a lot because there have many other releases outside of other than Outriders. I have Outriders on Xbox because of Game Pass and PlayStation 4 because I don't have a PS5 yet. That's okay. Until PlayStation gets smart and actually starts putting out PS5s at a normal rate, that's why I'll get a PS5. In the same sense for Xbox, I will gladly get an Xbox Series X once they start producing them at normal rates. But yes, Outriders is the newest game that's been out for 3 days right now, and so far reviews of it on them been great. I plan to actually play a little bit on Xbox over the weekend and basically get my review of Outriders for the next podcast next Friday, but we'll definitely go from there. But aside from that, guys, like I said before, as we're wrapping this up, the link at the bottom, if you copy and paste that, will take you to my site, my link tree. My link tree has the Facebook and YouTube pages for all of my shows, for Off Limits Podcast, Git Bit, and How the Frack We Got Here. Just simply like, share, and subscribe, and you'll be able to do that. Also, let me not forget my buddy Big VZA Dot, who will also be restarting his podcast this Sunday, April the 4th, also on Facebook. Definitely look him up at Big VZA Dot on Facebook. Also, Joe, I'm sorry, did you have anything that you wanted to post with the world? Let folks know about?
Slowly returning on YouTube with Total Justice Gaming. I'm doing Digimon's Local Tamer every so often when I get a chance.
Okay. And I know you're waiting on me, but I know you're doing Monster Hunter Rise, and I'm just waiting for GameStop to send off my copy. So once they feel the need. I'm sorry. I just have that. I have that little faith in GameStop. But once they feel the need to send me my copy, since they already got my money, I'll be jumping on there with Joe and hopefully be streaming my journey, because the last time I played Monster Hunter Rise was sometime back on the Wii. So when I tell you it's going to be a lot of ring rust, it is going to be a lot of rust and a lot of learning. But for what I remember about the Monster Hunter community, it is all love. They will help you. They will learn. They will help you. They will train you. It's not what Call of Duty is now, if that makes sense to you. If you play Call of Duty multiplayer, it is there's some good people out there that will help you or play with you. But there are some folks out there that are just toxic as all get out that you want to avoid. But Monster Hunter is probably one of the ones I will say out there with their communities, along with Destiny and what else am I forgetting? Destiny and World of Warcraft. Those two gaming communities will help anybody as long as you ask. So I just want to give them shout outs. But beyond that, guys, like I said, that's really all that we have for this. So hopefully you shared it. I know Zuckerberg has stopped doing watch parties for some odd freaking reason. But that's just the way it is. That's just going to be Facebook, and he owns everything. But beyond that, guys, like I said, hopefully see you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. to noon for How the Frack We Got Here. And, of course, a little bit later that night, 8:30 to 10 p.m. for the Off Limits Podcast for the wrap-up of my podcasting. And from there, like I said, next week, it'll be me and Joe and possibly others. That'll actually be reviewing what happens the next week as far as anything that's new in the world of gaming, sci-fi, anime, television, things of that nature. So with that being said, I've been Will, that's been Joe. This has been the Git Bit Podcast for tonight, guys. And also, like I said, be careful with COVID-19 out there. Please wear a mask, social distancing, all that good stuff. Get a shot when you can. I actually got my shot today. I feel fine. A lot of people have been experiencing side effects. It is completely normal. Please report those if you are having side effects. But if nothing is wrong with you, just simply ride it out, wait for your next dose, and we'll all be cool. But aside from that, that's been Joe. I've been Will. Thank you all guys for watching. And if you're watching this on the playback, please comment if it's live. We are out. Take care of each other, and we'll get through this. Peace!